Yo, what's going on, Los Angeles? Welcome to the Rams Skinny here on the LAFB network. We are Los Angeles Sports, and this is your destination for Los Angeles Rams news. Back after almost like 2 weeks off, Skinny T was traveling. Much deserved time off for the man Skinny T. It's been a busy year for all of us, but especially him, as he's been just crushing the content mill. So time off, nice little road trip. And a nice little time in the Midwest. But welcome back. How you doing, man? Glad to see you again.
Doing real good, yeah. What end destination was northern Minnesota. See some family. Hit up a graduation, Deer River graduation. Shout out to the Warriors up there. And we got to spend a little time on Deer Lake too. So it all in all a fantastic trip.
Deer Lake, nice. Yeah, I'll be in. It's so funny because I'm going to be in Minnesota in literally like 2 weeks out on Lake Eddy private lake out there in kind of Midwestern Minnesota, out near Fargo, North Dakota almost. So yeah, we're Minnesota brothers over here.
Yeah, we've never really shared our origin story, our weird connection that we have, and we'll save that for another time. But it's a wild story. The coincidences in this world are pretty impressive, and we've got one that really it blew my mind. It blows everybody's mind that I tell. But yeah, small town Fergus Falls, connection between the two Ryans.
Yeah, look it up. I don't know how you would look it up, but try to look it up. But Fergus Falls, yeah, that's where I'll be. And crazy connection. So fun story. Yeah, maybe one day we'll share it, but no one wants to hear that right now. So, but glad you're back. Glad all of you Ramley is back. I know it's been some time away, so glad to get back on the mic talking all things Rams. The content hasn't stopped. Still plenty of Rams content over at LAFBnetwork.com. So if you have not ever, please check out the site and all the written stuff over there. But back in video format, and we're going to try a little bit different kind of through the summer, do a lot more short form in terms of not shorts and highlights, but just like more shorter episodes that we can just kind of get one topic and then move on to the next for the next episode. So we'll see how it goes. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. And also we just launched a new Rams message board on LAFB Network. Just go to LAFBnetwork.com. In the menu, look at forums, and you'll find the Rams one there, and we'll put a bunch of topics in there. We can all communicate, talk, any info we get, share there as well. So first up, though, Skinny, let's talk tight ends, shall we? Obviously, the big draft pick for the Rams, our guy, Terrence, or as we call him, Turd Ferguson, who the Rams are just in love with. Seemingly, Sean McVay is so hyped. He was like their number one tight end on the board, it seems like. They were almost going to take him in the first round. They ended up getting him in the second round. I'm extremely excited. Has not signed his contract yet, but has been at OTAs, so no real concern there that anything will get done. And Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, has talked, highly of him. McVay's talked highly of him. But Tyler Higbee is still on the roster. I mean, he is the veteran incumbent tight end. And what's interesting, well, I don't know if it's interesting, but PFF does their kind of yearly rankings heading into the season for each position. And they ranked Tyler Higbee 26th in the NFL among tight ends. There were multiple teams with two tight ends on the list of 32, and their second tight end was ranked above Higbee, including two rookies in Tyler Warren and Colson Loveland. So not that PFF is the end-all be-all, but obviously they do not think very highly of Higbee and what he will be this season. Let me ask you first, Skinny, is that an unfair ranking? Should Tyler Higbee be ranked higher than 26th best tight end in the NFL?
The recency bias in sports is pervasive. It's everywhere. And I got to say, I think there's some Tyler Higbee slander. I think people have kind of forgotten who he could be, even though he played several games at the end of the season after he came back from his MCL and ACL tear. I think he's much better than 26.
Yeah.
So if you go to PFF's actual rankings of when, based on their scores, they rank for the time period that he played, week 16, 17, 18, and then the playoff games, he's the 8th best receiver as a tight end.
Yeah. Wow.
So I just looked that up right before this. So I don't know, PFF, you're not trusting your own grades on this one, I guess. Because he was a huge part of the team's kind of ability to, convert third downs and in the red zone when he was in there. So how does that look going forward with Ferguson on the lineup as well? It's a big question.
Yeah. I mean, I think for sure it's an unfair ranking. I think he is certainly better than that. We saw when he came back last year, as you kind of alluded to, how important he was to the offense and how much they were able to utilize him down the stretch there and, getting touchdowns in almost every game he was back. So it tells me more that they're viewing Terrence Ferguson as taking a big chunk of the production from the tight end position from Higbee. And maybe that's now they didn't put Ferguson in their rankings, whereas, like I said, other teams had 2 tight ends in there. They didn't include him. But they clearly must think that he's going to be highly involved, which will take from Higbee's production. One thing, and I've even said this, but I think it's kind of an unfair assumption of Higbee is his health. I'm pretty sure I've said on here, like, oh yeah, he's had some struggle staying healthy. But when you really look at it, outside of last year, which he got injured on a cheap shot in the playoff game, which is why he missed, 15 games or whatever. It wasn't some fluke. It was a cheap shot to the knee. Outside of that, he's never missed more than 2 games in any season of his career, which I was kind of surprised about. I feel like there's always been this misconception that Higbee's kind of injury prone. Now, what I will say is he does always seem to have lingering stuff, and he'll have to come out during games and miss some plays and go back. But he's really never missed extensive time. So I think that's something that a lot of people kind of assume, and why maybe his ranking is down a little bit as well. But yeah, I think 26 is a bit laughable, especially when you see some of the guys. I don't have it again in front of me, but some of the guys ahead of him. I think Noah Gray, the Chiefs backup tight end, was above him, who backs up, Travis Kelce. But so that'll lead me to this question, Skinny. Is this a Tyler Higbee revenge season where we see a lot of maybe more, McVay ran a lot of 12 personnel last year, way more than ever in the past since he's been the Rams coach. And with Terrence Ferguson now, maybe we see a lot of 12 personnel, but Higbee's still a guy. Or is this more of a swan song goodbye tour in his kind of last year in horns?
I think it's probably the first one. So I was listening to the Let's Talk Ball podcast, and that's Cody Alexander, who's a defensive guru. He's Match Quarters is his Substack. Definitely worth a subscription if you want to learn a lot about football. But he had an offensive guy on, Dan Casey is his name. Mm-hmm. Pick up his book. He's got all these trends, offensive trends, and one of the things they were talking about, the biggest offensive trend is the death of 11 personnel.
Yeah,
12 personnel is taking over the league, taking it by storm. For simple reasons. When you're running lighter boxes, when you have lighter defensive linemen, you bring in a couple of big-bodied receivers. It really changes the equation at the line of scrimmage, and that's where you got to win in the NFL. We all know this, and I think that's what McVay has kind of been trying to set up the last couple of years, bringing in different, trying out a lot of different tight ends over the last few years, trying to find somebody that can be the blocker and can be, the pass catcher. And I think they're onto something, and we'll see with Ferguson. But I think, they're going to be on the field a lot together. And then you mix in a guy like Colby Parkinson. It's a very exciting prospect. Where you can get a guy that's a 6 offensive lineman who can also catch the ball, and you overload one side. You can tell I was just listening to a podcast about offensive line trends. You overload one side, you got a trip set up. This is really interesting stuff. It gives me goosebumps, really.
Yeah.
So I think it's a revenge tour. I think it's a stepping stone as well, if I could say that, to the next iteration of the Sean McVay offense. And Is he going to be around a lot longer? No, I hope it's not his last year in horns, especially if this works out.
So I was thinking while you were saying all that, what's really in a good way. What's really interesting to kind of think about it, and again, I just thought of this right now, so I don't have the numbers in front of me. So anyone listening, we'll try to add some substance to it. But if you think of like the great teams, I'm not even going to say in history. I'm just going to say in the last decade. Or even decade to 20 years. When you think of all these great teams that have gone on Super Bowl runs and won the Super Bowl, you can look, I'm just trying to think down the list. Like the key that all of them had is an elite tight end. When you think of Travis Kelce with the Chiefs, obviously, most recently. When you think of even George Kittle, the Niners haven't won it, but he's been their main focal point of their offense. Even with Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, like it's all about George Kittle. Like, what is George Kittle going to bring? When you think of obviously about the Patriots and Rob Gronkowski and even when they had Aaron Hernandez mixed in there just strictly on the football field. When you think about, the Broncos back during the final Elway's run with Shannon Sharp, I mean, their receivers, no disrespect to Rod Smith and Ed McCaffrey, but it was a sixth round pick and an undrafted free agent. Shannon Sharp, who was also a 6th round pick, was like the star actually of that offense, aside from, Terrell Davis in the running game. And even last year with the Eagles, Dallas Goedert has really come into his own. Their first run with the Eagles, Zach Ertz was like this elite tight end. So you start thinking more, and everyone wants the Jamar Chase, right? You want the elite receiver. And the Rams were kind of the one that bucked the trend when they won it because they had Cooper Kupp and their tight ends were all injured at the time. Like, wasn't their like 3rd string tight end the guy that was like the main one in that game? But overall, history tells us that elite tight end play can lead to Super Bowl runs because it's such a mismatch. There's a lot of elite corners in the game. I mean, we see them all the time. And those elite corners aren't going to always beat elite receivers, but it's a lot closer of a matchup. Whereas an elite tight end, find me a linebacker that can stand an elite tight end. If you really want to stop an elite tight end, you need a big bodied safety that can come down in the box. But then guess what? You're opening yourself up to the home run shot for then some of your other receivers. So utilizing the tight end within your offense, within structure, can give you so much more options. And we haven't really seen McVay do that a lot with Higbee by himself. Now with the likes of Higbee being healthy and Turd Ferguson, who they love so much, the optionality they can get from this position actually is getting me really excited. So I agree with you. I think this is going to be a revenge tour for Higbee. I don't think that means that Ferguson isn't going to have a coming out party as a rookie. The question will it lead to another contract for Higbee, as his is now expiring and he's 32 years old or something. So if they can get him back on a sweetheart deal, obviously that'd be great. But it's got me fired up for watching some tight end play this year.
Yeah, well, good. I mean, people got to get excited about tight ends. This is, it's a conversation about positionless football, and also like not scheme dependent football. And what I mean by scheme dependence is it gives you some options with a guy like Kittle or Kelce. Kittle's probably a better example. I hate to give any praise to the 49ers more than I already do. But the guy's an athlete and just a freakish blocker as well. It's a hard combination. And, and this is in terms of the succession plan, this is exactly what you want to see. A guy kind of going out the door and a guy that's coming in to learn a new position, not a new position, but a new level of the position, which we talk about a lot of. The tight end position is a hard one to learn. And you see a lot of first rounders, even not getting up to speed in year one, but it takes a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard. So that'll be the last thing is how quickly can Terrence Ferguson get acclimated into the offense? Because Davis Allen, I thought, did some good things down the stretch, and obviously Colby Parkinson very involved in the running game. So how early will we see Ferguson come out? And Tyler Higbee, if healthy, obviously is going to be still your mainstay at that position until Ferguson kind of seizes it. So I think there's a big opportunity there. So let us know what you guys think. I mean, what do you think about Terrence Ferguson? What do you think about Tyler Higbee? Comment below. Will we see a lot more 12 personnel in this Rams offense? I mean, just 3 years ago, it was 11 personnel heavy zone running scheme. And now we may see 12 personnel gap running scheme, like completely different iteration. And clearly Sean McVay and Lincoln Riley at USC are talking, because Lincoln Riley almost ran exclusively 10 personnel last year. And now they're switching to 12 personnel this season. In a heavy front with all their talented tight ends. And obviously they just landed the top tight end in the class for 26. So that'll be more involved, but I digress. Tight end talks got me excited. Skinny, anything else to add on this topic?
Nope.
Perfect. Well, yeah. Comment below if you haven't already. Hit that like and subscribe button on the Rams LAFB YouTube channel. You can find everything we do on LAFBnetwork.com. Make sure to tune in. We'll have tons of new stuff dropping all off season long.